Greetings, everybody. This is Jesse here. This is your Meggido Rising News Report, and I am going to be discussing with you Jeremiah 49 and Daniel 11, 41 through 45. But before I get to that, I'm going to go over. These episodes of videos is going to be current events relating to the times that we are living in. And keep in mind, I just want to make this clear that I do believe that a World War III is on the horizon. If not, it has already started. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. But it is the time of the end. Armageddon is at the end before the 1,000 year starts. The 1,000 year period. Okay, I believe World War III is kind of symbolized in the red horse. Because it says it has a great sword. So that's like a great war, and I think this war is fast approaching. If not, bits and pieces are being put in place. Okay, I just want to make that clear, because it does say in Daniel 11:40, about the time of the end, and with everything that's going on, you can clearly see that all the links will be posted below. The chapters that I'm going to cover and the scriptures are going to be posted below, and then look for various news events happening that I'm going to be posting during the week, and then on hopefully on Fridays and Saturdays I'll try to get my Bereans Way episodes going. The next one is going to be on Easter, and if the guy that commented why a while back, calling me a tattooed Christian hippie rocker or whatever, if he's still following my videos, by the way, guess what? You're going to see my face again because I am getting ready to do a communion video for those people that don't have churches to go to, and so that way you can download the video and you know and you can partake in communion and stuff like that. I figure that'll be a nice, pleasant thing to do for you guys that are alone and you don't have any way of partaking in that. I mean, you can partake in it yourself. You don't need to look at my face. I mean, you can do it yourself. But I still figured that I would do that for you guys, so be on the lookout for that. So you get to see my face, my tattooed hippie Christian rocker face. And yes, I do have tattoos, and that's just basically my own personal testimony. But anyway, all right. We all know of everything that's going on in the Middle East, okay? And I have a report in front of me. Syria arms missiles with chemical warheads. The Syrian regime, which has endured 9 months of civil unrest spurred by the Arab Spring, as it swept across the Middle East, has armed its medium-range missile arsenal with chemical warheads. According to a report published by the Saban Daily Sunday, Damascus armed 600 one-ton chemical warheads to use in the event of a foreign military intervention. Furthermore, President Bashar al-Assad ordered the deployment of 21 missile launchers along its border with Turkey. Syria's medium-range missiles that can be equipped with chemical warheads have a range of up to 1,300 kilometers and would include the southern and central provinces of Turkey. According to the Daily, the Syrian military keeps its stockpile of chemical warheads in secret facilities in and around the capital city of Damascus. So, and then also Syrian military vehicles set alight as violent protests spill over into Jordan. So, we have Syria behind attack on French troops in Lebanon, and apparently Assad's brother-in-law was shot to death. So that's one portion of the chaos going on in the Middle East. We all know about the ruckus going on between Iran, Israel, and the U.S. China and Russia also has their hands in on that one. And speaking of China, I'm gonna go. This is from December 7th. A lot of you probably already know this, but I'm going to go through this article real quick. I'm not going to read all of it. Again, the links will be posted below. And, I mean, either this is true or it's not true. I mean, you got to remember where these sources are coming from. Just because they're coming from the internet does not mean that it's right there. But according to what I'm seeing, and according to how I relate it to Scripture, we can easily see what kind of time we are in. We are definitely in the time of wars and rumors of wars, and earthquakes in diverse places, wars and rumors of wars, and the rumors are just going crazy right now. So this is basically the main topic of the of this show. Obviously, I basically canceled my Blog Talk radio program, and I'm transferring what I do on there to here. Okay, so China tells Navy to prepare for combat. Chinese President Hu Jintao has urged the country's Navy to prepare for military combat and advance naval modernizations as part of efforts to safeguard world peace. The Navy should accelerate its transformation and modernization in a sturdy way and make extended preparations for military combat in order to make greater contributions to safeguard national security and world peace. Hughes said in a speech on Tuesday that comes amid U.S. and regional concerns. That was last Tuesday. Excuse me. According to a statement on the government's website, Hugh was speaking to the nation's powerful Central Military Commission at a meeting in Beijing focused on military armament and the latest developments in the Navy. Our work must closely encircle the main theme of national defense and military building, Hughes said, according to the statement. In a translation of Hughes' comments, the official Xinhua News agency quoted the president as saying China's Navy should make extended preparations for warfare, strengthening the term Shunshi Daozang that can be also translated as military combat or military struggle. I guess that's what that China phrase means. Hughes' comments come after China said late last month, meaning November, it will conduct naval exercises in the Pacific Ocean, following a major diplomatic campaign by President Barry Soetoro to assert the United States as a Pacific power. The Defense Ministry said the exercise did not target any particular country, but the announcement comes against a background of growing tensions over maritime disputes in the Asia-Pacific region. Chinese Premier Wang Xiaobao last month also warned against interference by external forces in regional territorial disputes, including in the South China Sea, strategic and resource-rich area where several nations have overlapping claims. And that's all I'm going to read on that. A link will be posted below. I mean, the thing, this stuff is really getting out of control. I mean, you got warships in the Strait of Hormuz. You got the Carl Vinson over there now. You got all these warships of all these different nations out there in the Gulf, Strait of Hormuz. China's out there. It's the stage is being set. I mean, if you go a while back when I talked about World War III, about the supposed letter that Albert Pike wrote, and then you compare that with the scriptures, again, the Red Horse, it talks about a great sword. It's not talking about Armageddon. This is just World War III. World War III is not Armageddon. Okay? I don't think it is. As a matter of fact, I think a World War III would be used in a way to finally have a one world order or one world government set up. That is where I think it's going. Okay? And rather it's a 3.5 year tribulation period, 7 year tribulation period, I don't know. Because I don't really see that in Daniel 9:27. Because in Revelations it just talks about 3.5 years. Okay? I mean, unless there's a point in Revelations where it talks about this mystery and it talks about seven thunders. Now, that could be 7 years. That could mean 7 years. I don't know. But I just have a hard time agreeing with the fact that Daniel 9:27 talks specifically about a 7 year tribulation. Um, but I could be wrong. Or I could be reading it wrong. But anyway, moving on. Okay, Russian leader tells top generals prepare for Armageddon. Well, prepare for World War III, not Armageddon. That's what this article is saying. And it says a grim Federal Security Services report on Prime Minister Putin's plan to meet China's leader Hu Jintao in Beijing next week warns that both Russian and Chinese military forces are being placed on their highest alert in anticipation of a massive land invasion that is believed being planned by the United States of both the Middle East and Central Asia. The plans for this total global war the Americans are preparing to launch were first revealed to China's Ministry of State Security (MSS) by the former Blackwater mercenary Brian Underwood, who is currently being held by U.S. authorities for spying, and which we reported on in our October 4 report titled China Warns Russia of Coming American Great Event. Within hours of Putin's reading of the coming U.S. plans for total global war, this report says he wrote a rare article in the Izvestia Daily outlining a grand project to integrate post-Soviet states into closer cooperation, scheduled an emergency trip to China to meet with Hu, and ordered the FSB to notify China's MSS of the arrest and detention of their spy, Tun Shenyun, who was captured last year for attempting to steal sensitive information on Russia's most powerful anti-aircraft system. As we have detailed in our previously mentioned report, the new Great Game moves being planned by the Americans and is striking fear into both Russia and China includes the deliberate implosion of both the U.S. and EU economies in order to destroy the global financial system that has been in place since the ending of World War II. And yes, I do believe all of this is a controlled collapse. Number two, the launching of a massive conventional war by the U.S. and EU on the North American, African, and Asian continents to include the Middle East. Number three, during this all-out war, the deliberate releasing of biowarfare agents meant to kill off millions, if not billions, of innocent civilians. And number four, at the height of this war, the U.S. and its allies will sue for peace and call for a new global order to be established in order to prevent this total destruction of our planet. This past week, an unidentified source within the U.S. Department of Defense further warned that the Obama regime was preparing for a massive tank-on-tank war, and that U.S. military forces are expecting something conventional and big coming down the pipe relatively soon. That's all I'm going to read on that. So, I mean, you can see where all of this is going. I mean, regardless if these sources are credible or not, it's just utter chaos, man. It's chaos, chaos. you know, that's it. It's the old chaos theory from Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. You package it, you put it in a plastic lunchbox, and then you want to sell it. But no, seriously, guys. I mean, you guys got to be on the up and up. Get yourself spiritually right with God. You know, because I mean, it's only going to get worse. Nothing is going to get better until Christ comes back and um, New Jerusalem sets its foot on earth here. That's the only time it's going to get better. Um, okay. Um, Now, government activating FEMA camps across the U.S. This has been a really big report going on uh, last week, and so apparently these areas are now being readied up here. Okay, so they are getting these things ready to go, locked and loaded, ready to go camping. Anyway, a document originating from Halliburton subsidiary KBR that provides details on a push to outfit FEMA and U.S. Army camps around the United States, entitled Project Overview and Anticipated Project Requirements. The document describes services KBR is looking to farm out to subcontractors. The document was passed on to U.S. by a state government employee who wishes to remain anonymous for obvious reasons. And you can go and read the document. I'm not going to read the whole thing for you guys. Like I said, you can go and look this up. Again, I'll have all the links posted below. Okay, services up for bid include catering. This is from the document above. Temporary fencing and barricades. Laundry and medical services, power generation, refuse collection, and other services required for temporary emergency environment camps located in 5 regions of the United States. Internment camp services bid arrives after National Defense Authorization Act. Interesting timing for that. We have that huge bill that's been passed, and amidst that we have all this chaos going on in the Middle East and Syria, Iran, Yemen, Ethiopia, uh, all over the place. Egypt. It all started in Egypt. You got the Occupy movement going on, and then you had this bill come along, and now you have the FEMA camps being activated, and they're already being activated. This was a 72-hour timeline. Well, the 72-hour timeline is up, so they're being activated, as far as my understanding goes. I might have that wrong, but anyway. KBR's call for FEMA camp service bids arrived soon after the Senate overwhelmingly passed this NDAA, which permits the military to detain and interrogate supposed domestic terror suspects in violation of the Fourth Amendment and posse comitatus. Section 1031 of the NDAA bill declares the whole of the United States as a battlefield and allows American citizens to be arrested on U.S. soil and incarcerated in Guantanamo Bay. Incarcerated and possibly shipped off to your respective camps, maybe. Who knows? A number of civil liberties groups have come out in strong opposition to the legislation, most notably the Japanese American Citizens League, the nation's oldest and largest Asian American civil and human rights organization. In a letter addressed to Congress, S. Floyd Maury, the national director of JACL, said the NDAA is the first time that Congress has scaled back on the protections provided by the Non-Detention Act of 1971. Maury said the legislation, if enacted and put into use, would be reminiscent of the unconstitutional indefinite detention of Japanese Americans during World War II. For further information on this, Police State 4: Rise of FEMA is a pretty decent film to watch to get more information on that. Um, in 2006, KBR was awarded a contingency contract from the Department of Homeland Security allegedly to support its immigration and custom enforcement facilities in the event of an emergency, Market Watch reported. The contract was effective immediately and provided by establishing temporary detention and processing capabilities to expand existing ICE detention and removal operations program facilities in the event of an emergency influx of immigrants into the U.S. or to support the rapid development of new programs. KBR said this contract may also provide migrant detentions, support to other government organizations in the event of an immigration emergency, as well as development of a plan to react to a national emergency such as a natural disaster, the company explained. And obviously, as stated below, um, these camp centers throughout the United States is split off into 5 groups. Okay, you have Group 1, which would be Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. Um, Zone 2 would be Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, North and South Carolina. Zone 3 would be Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, Minnesota, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, and Montana. Zone 4, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Zone 5, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and California. So that's basically where your detention centers, that's how they're split up within the continental U.S. So, I mean, so you got that going on now. And like again, this stuff is activated right now. I mean, it was activated, I believe, after that 72-hour period. And again, you have all this chaos going on with the U.S., Israel, Iran, Syria, Pakistan. I mean, it's just utter. It's an utter mess. But these are the days we live in. We are in the time of the end. The time of sorrows or a beginning of sorrows. Okay. Again, take this with a grain of salt. This was from December 7th, 2011 on whatdoesitmean.com. China joins Russia, orders military to prepare for World War III. A grim Ministry of Defense bulletin issued to Prime Minister Putin and President Medvedev today states that President Hu has agreed in principle that the only way to stop the West's aggression led by the United States is through direct and immediate military action, and that the Chinese leader has ordered his naval forces to prepare for warfare. Hu's call for war joins Chinese Rear Admiral and prominent military commentator Zhang Zhaozhong, who likewise warned this past week that China will not hesitate to protect Iran even with a third world war. And Russian General Nikolai Makarov, who grimly stated last week, quote, "I do not rule out local and regional armed conflicts developing into a large-scale war, including using nuclear weapons." The raising of global tensions between the East and West was exploded this past fortnight when Russian Ambassador Vladimir Tidorenko and 2 of his aides returning from Syria were brutally assaulted and put in hospitals by Qatar security forces aided by CIA and British M16 agents attempting to gain access to diplomatic pouches containing information from Syrian intelligence that the United States was flooding Syria and Iran with the same U.S.-backed al-Qaeda mercenaries who toppled the Libyan government. So again, take that portion with a grain of salt. I know there's been a lot of speculation with this site, but I mean, I'm just putting it out there because it does make sense with all the stuff that I'm covering and the stuff that has been covered throughout the last week. Google Translate. This was from zhongxija.com. This is Chinese news. For the United States, run wild on the Iron Bar, Northwest China. Secondary artillery rare raid warning. At an altitude of 4,000 meters, Pamir's training on the human body and the respiratory system is a serious test. Recently, the 2nd Artillery got a batch of new equipment Plateau Desert, embarked on a complex combat environment training modules, drill through the interference by means of deception and avoidance, tested the ability of the new mobile communications equipment, remote networking capability, and combat against the ability of people with weapons and equipment to achieve the best combination of forces, significantly improve the level of information. In addition, this exercise also sabotaged a plateau communication network problems, creating the most accurate record of a new missile. And when you get these links, go ahead and check this out. 2nd Artillery Mobile DF-21 to air surface missiles for data for PLA military exercise and the appearance of a large number of DF-16 missile and 2nd Artillery Force DF-4 long-range ballistic missile on standby. So suddenly a large number of China's 2nd Artillery Corps Northwest Plateau Drill Assembly, which is China's Kuaoshanjianzhou response to U.S. threats to Pakistan Railway clear attitude. China warned the United States high-level officials and even direct, and as, quote, any threat to Pakistan is the China threat. It is also China's Jishandaniu replies the best way to Western military action against Iraq. In recent days, with the rising voice of the Western military action against Iraq, China and Iran as a close interest in the partnership strongly oppose and prevent Western military action against Iraq. Diplomacy, China's UN Ambassador, Director General of International Atomic Energy Agency, a stern warning. The Japanese Yukiya Amano unfunded report shall not be provided. Should be careful, end quote. Military, China will reload with 16 massive mobilization and large scale in Pakistan desert warfare. Exercise. U.S. is not Pakistan's coveted 2 year, especially last year or two, as the U.S. war in Afghanistan depth military action against Iran's determination to become stronger, increasing confrontation with China, Pakistan's strategic location in terms of, or from the tactical requirements in terms of, for the United States are necessary to break this strategic position, only to Pakistan, essentially for himself, to a dominant position in the military. On the contrary, Pakistan's position is most important to China. We can say that China will never lose the peace in western Pakistan of life. You know, Pakistan's got nuclear weapons, and they won't be afraid to use them. And I said this before and I'll say it again. Why is World War III, I believe, imminent, or if not already underway? Because you got the world economies in a downfall. And over again throughout history, when you are in a state of depression, when the world or when the economies are in a state of depression, the primary solution is war. Well, now we don't have separate economies, okay? We have a global economy, and the global economy is collapsing. So we are practically in a depression. And the only way out of a depression to the elite, per se, is war. So, I mean, you can clearly see where all this is going. I'm not trying to be a fearmonger here, but, I mean, over and over again throughout history, they have always used war to come out of a depression or a recession, whatever you want to call it. When you got the news saying, hey, this is the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, well, what does that tell you? That means we're in a depression. Duh. Anyway, now everyone was saying, oh, well, if Obama vetoes this bill, it's going to be okay. Well, here's the thing. He already requested this with this whole NDAA, and why Obama will not veto NDAA military detention of Americans? Because he already requested it. I mean, if you watched the C-SPAN coverage when they were doing this whole debate, remember Senator Carl Levin, Democrat from Michigan, on Senate floor explaining it was Obama who requested the provision of the indefinite military detention of American citizens without charge or trial. This is almost at the beginning of his presidency, basically. So I mean, it's already there. You know, it's just being thrown at you in your face now. You know, it's out in the open. Senator Dianne Feinstein recently confirmed that she was unable to exercise Section 1031 in an email. Okay. Like you, I oppose these provisions. Section 1031 is problematic because it authorizes the indefinite detention of American citizens without due process. In this democracy, due process is a fundamental right, and it protects us from being locked up by the government without charge. For this reason, I offered an amendment to prohibit the indefinite detention of U.S. citizens without trial or charge. Unfortunately, on December 1st, 2011, this amendment failed by a vote of 45 to 55. I was, however, able to reach a compromise with the authors of the defense bill to state that no existing law or authorities to detain suspected terrorists are changed by this section of the bill. While I would have preferred to have restricted the government's ability to detain U.S. citizens without charge, this compromise at least ensures that the bill does not expand the government's authority in this area. Okay. Now, back to the Middle East. And now I'm going to get into the scriptures here. And I'm going to talk about Jeremiah 49. I'm going to read the passage to you. And you can clearly see where we are. And then I'm going to close. Okay. Alright. Jeremiah 49. This is what I like to call the Jeremiah 49 newspaper. Why? Because it's like reading a newspaper. Oh boy. Sorry about that, guys. That's why. Okay. And when you see this, you know, it's quite amazing. I'm going to start in verse 5. Jeremiah 49. Behold, I will bring a fear upon thee, saith the Lord, God of hosts, from all those that be about thee. And you shall be driven out every man right forth, and none shall gather up him that wandereth. And afterward I will bring again the captivity of the children of Ammon, which is in Jordan, saith the Lord. Concerning Edom, again, Jordan, thus saith the Lord of hosts. Wisdom no more in Teman, his counsel perished from the prudent, Is their wisdom vanished? Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. If grape gatherers come to thee, will they not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, they will destroy till they have enough. But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. For thus saith the Lord, Behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? You shall not go unpunished, but you shall surely drink of it. For I have sworn by myself, saith the Lord, that Basra shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, which is also Basra is in Jordan. And all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. I have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, Gather ye together, and come against her, and rise up to the battle. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen, and despised among men. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart. O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill, you should make thy nest as high as the eagle. I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord. Again concerning Jordan, also Edom shall be a desolation. Every one that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord, no man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan against the habitations of the strong. But I will suddenly make him run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the inhabitations of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall. At the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. Behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle, and spread his wings over Basra. And at that day, speaking of the time of the end, shall the heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. Now, keep in mind the protests and everything that's been going on in Syria and everything. Now we're jumping from Jordan, and now we are going into Syria, concerning Damascus, which is in modern-day Syria. Hamath is confounded, and Arpad, for they have heard evil tidings. They are faint-hearted. There is sorrow on the sea. It cannot be quiet. All the naval vessels that are over there, Strait of Hormuz. You got China, Russia. I believe you got British, U.S. naval fleets. I mean, it's just a mess. Damascus has waxed feeble and turned herself to flee. Well, there's been 4,000 murders of these protests since June. So I mean, there's people running for their lives right now over there. Damascus has waxed feeble and turneth herself to flee, and fear has seized on her. Anguish and sorrows have taken her as a woman in travail. Doesn't this sound like the beginning of sorrows in Matthew 24? Woman in travail? Ain't it funny that when they had this whole peace thing in 2012, and also the Peace Festival, I think, in September, plus you had that International Peace Day at the UN, all this talk about peace, and now look what's going on in Syria right now. when they shall say peace, peace, and sudden destruction comes upon them as a woman in travail about to give birth. That's in the New Testament. I'm reading the Old Testament right now. Again, I'll read it again. Damascus is waxed feeble, and turneth herself to flee, and fear hath seized on her, anguish and sorrows have taken her, as a woman in travail. How is the city of praise not left, the city of my joy? Therefore her young men shall fall in her streets. Again, look at all the deaths going on in Syria. And all the men of war shall be cut off in that day, time of the end, saith the Lord of hosts. And I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall consume the palaces of Ben-Hadad. The thing is with Jeremiah is, because the next verse goes into Nebuchadnezzar and everything, is Jeremiah, as a matter of fact, in the first chapter, it talks about Jeremiah as a prophet for the nations, and I believe that's all the nations, from past and present. A lot of prophecies in Jeremiah is going to have a dual fulfillment, and I can clearly see this happening right now. 49:28, concerning Kedar and concerning the kingdoms of Hazor, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon shall smite. Thus saith the Lord, Arise ye, go up to Kedar, and spoil the men of the east. Their tents and their flocks shall they take away. They shall take to themselves their curtains, and all their vessels, and their camels, and they shall cry unto them. Fear is on every side. Flee, get you far off, dwell deep, O ye inhabitants of Hazor, saith the Lord. For Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon hath taken counsel against you, and hath conceived a purpose against you. And it goes on. And then we go from Damascus to Iran. And starting in verse 34. The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah king of Judah, saying. Now Elam is modern day Iran. Okay, it's very important that you locate these old cities, and you can see how these prophecies are going to be a dual fulfillment. Okay, and then I'll prove that to you at the end of this chapter. The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah king of Judah, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. So it's a leader. It's the leader in Iran. It's the president, Ahmadinejad. And upon Elam will I bring the four winds from heaven, from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them toward all those winds, and there shall be no nation whither the outcast of Elam shall not come. Now, the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, that might be the NATO forces, or it might be all the nations that want to come against Iran, including Israel. Verse 37, For I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies, and before them that seek their life. And I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, saith the Lord. And I will send the sword after them, till I have consumed them. And I will set my throne in Elam, and will destroy from thence the king and the princes, saith the Lord. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith the Lord. So there you go. I just proved it to you. Now, all of this stuff started in Egypt. You can go and read about that in Isaiah chapter 19. But I'm going to quickly go over, I'll block the screen here for a minute. I'm going to quickly go over Daniel 11, 41 through 45. And then I'm going to close. Okay, this is basically, Daniel is basically confirming what Jeremiah prophesied about. Okay? Okay. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south, starting in verse 40. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, and with horsemen, and with many ships. Again, is it starting to sound familiar with what's going on right now in the world? And he shall enter into the countries, and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many shall be overthrown. The word countries is in italics, it's not in the original. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab, both are in modern day Jordan, and the chief of the children of Ammon, also in modern day Jordan. So that's basically talking about Jordan right there. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries. Now, listen to the order of this, okay? And listen and look at how the U.S. has played a role. He shall stretch forth his hand also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver. When Gaddafi was overthrown, I mean, he was loaded. And, well, guess who had their filthy hands in on that one? But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over all precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy, and utterly to make away many. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his places. Tabernacles are strongholds. I mean, if you look it up, I'll show you. I'll give you the definitions of tabernacles here. Just a second here. Okay. Now, he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. Now keep in mind, that's plural. What does tabernacles mean? It's a covering, a dwelling place, a home, tabernacle, tent. You know, I believe we have over like 700 bases occupied throughout the whole world, and look how many countries we're occupying over in the Middle East. Look how many bases we got over there. Now, could that be military bases? I think it's a strong possibility. You know, so I'm just throwing that out there. You know, and clearly these are the days that we are in. And I appreciate you being patient with me for this first episode. And again, look for periodic pop-ups of news and current events that are coming up and that are going on. And just stay safe, stay vigilant, guys. Again, like I said, all these news sources, again, they're from worldly views. So there might be some lying going on. I mean, I know there is. You know, but when you weigh some of this stuff with scriptures, you can clearly see the times that we are in. And these are very dangerous times. We are definitely in the portion of the time of sorrows where it talks about wars and rumors of wars. There is no denying that. And I strongly believe that the red horse is really going to start increasing his ride very shortly. You know, the white horse is already going out to conquer and to conquer. Rather, that might be ice melting or um, a conquering type of religious system, which your apostate Christianity under the guile of the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, that's obvious. Um, your pagan influence in Christianity with the holidays, Easter, Halloween, Christmas. I mean, that's obvious. So I believe that white horse has been riding for a while, and it's just getting stronger. Um, and I believe the red horse is really going to be increasing this ride very shortly. When? I don't know. You know, it's just like every time when people say Jesus is coming soon. Yeah, they've been saying that for a long time. But see, hundreds, 200s, 300,000 years, 2,000 years, they've been saying that. 3,000 years, whatever. They say that he's coming soon. Why? Because eternity is a lot longer. That's why we keep on saying he's coming soon. But that's all I have for now. Um, until next time, guys, stay safe, stay vigilant, and I am glad that I am posting videos again here on YouTube. And look for my next Bereans Way episode also, and look for the communing video that I'm going to be doing here soon, and look for ongoing news events so I can try to keep you guys updated as much as I can throughout these times. So until next time, stay safe, God bless, stay vigilant, truth be told, truth be known. Take care, guys. God bless. Bye bye.